Welcome back to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
It is Monday, March 11th, making our way through the Monday minus an hour.
Wow. We love
alliteration.
You love alliteration.
I do. How can you be prepared to respond when a disaster happens, when there's an emergency, particularly you and maybe your congregation as well? Can you be a part of a team that responds when a disaster or an emergency happens? Stephen Bourne, Central Illinois District of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, LERT coordinator, or LERT as we sometimes call it. Stephen, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So what is LERT or LERT training?
Well, first of all, LERT stands for the Lutheran Early Response Team, but it's, a lot of people say Lutheran Disaster Response or the Lutheran Emergency Response. Basically, it's a group of LCMS members who are trained to go out to disasters and offer assistance to individuals and being the hands and feet of Christ during times of disaster.
What kinds of things are the LERT volunteers trained to do?
Well, there's several niches. We do debris cleanup. We do counseling. We have comfort dog ministry. We have a chainsaw crew. We serve food. And we do property management. So there's many niches within LERT.
How much of the training also involves learning how to speak and interact with the people that you meet while you're responding to the disaster?
So we offer a 6-hour PowerPoint presentation. The first 3 or 4 hours is really about the theology of the cross, how to serve others, how to talk to others, identifying certain things to assist individuals. So, and then after we discuss extensively about that, then we start talking about the actual disaster response, like the debris cleanup and chainsaw work. So a lot of it has to do with interactions with one-on-one with the survivor, than more of the disaster response area.
Why is it so important to do the training that way, to lead with the gospel? That's
who we are. That's what Christians do. So, there's a lot of disaster groups out there that are not faith-based. So we bring in a certain, not only are we helping physically through disaster response, but we want to help spiritually and emotionally. And that's why a lot of our members, they do continuing education through our courses. And that's why I believe we're so successful, is because we're a faith-based organization.
So we've mentioned Jesus and chainsaws all in the first few minutes.
Yes.
I have to ask more about chainsaws. Tell us more about the chainsaw training, because power tools fascinate me. So.
Yeah, sure. So first, in order to be a part of the chainsaw crew, it's mandatory that you go through the first basic LERT training, and that encompasses 6 hours. And it's the theology of the cross, what to do, what not to do, what to wear, what not to wear, first aid. And once the person completes that training, then they're allowed to participate in additional trainings. And one of those is the chainsaw group, the crew. So it's 8 hours, and 4 hours is instruction-based, which is PowerPoint. And then we have 4 hours operation-based. And that's when we go outside, work as teams, and utilize everything that we learned in the PowerPoint outside. Now, the United States Forest Service requires anyone that that participates in a deployment on private property and they're doing chainsaw work, they have to have 8 hours of training. So this is basically, we meet that requirement of that 8 hours. Our training is quite different than most chainsaw trainings. We actually we train on tension and compression, how to cut trees off cars, off homes. During our trainings, we actually hang the trees up with other trees on purpose, and they're actually called widow makers. We actually do that on purpose and put the trees in precarious situations. And then we step back with the crew and say, okay, how would you guys handle this? And the reason we do that is because when we come into disasters with our chainsaw crew, we're coming in with trees that are mangled. They're viciously ripped from the earth and thrown out into the streets. So when we come in, we have to know how to be able to handle those. And we also talk about the protective equipment and the go bags and deployments.
Who is eligible for this training to be a LERT responder?
Any LCMS member who is 18 or older, and they have to already have completed this basic 6-hour training. Oftentimes I hear a lot of people say, I'm too old to be part of the team. I can't lift. I can't do this. I can't do that. But our teams encompass a safety officer, a runner, a first aid officer, a dragger or puller, and then there's the chainsaw operator. Now, what we do is we actually train, even if you're not going to touch a chainsaw and you want to be the safety officer for the chainsaw team, or you want to be a puller and you're never going to touch a chainsaw, we still require you to attend the training, because that way you can appreciate the team as a whole and know what to do and what to look for. So you're not just coming in blindly and saying, okay, pull this. You know as a dragger that you have to be 6 feet away from that chainsaw operator. So we just want everyone that is going to be part of the team to go through the training.
What kind of disasters do the LERT responders respond to?
So we go to tornadoes. Now, LERT, we go to floods, hurricanes, and everything like that. But as far as the chainsaw crew, usually it's just tornadoes and hurricanes. But we're in central Illinois, so that's, tornadoes and floods are our main goal. Florida, they have the hurricanes. Kansas has tornadoes. California has wildfires. But interestingly, there's only 5 LERT chainsaw trained trainers in the United States. And I'm one of them. We actually have 2 on our team. And Kansas, the Kansas district, we had a chainsaw training in 2016. They drove 10 hours away to attend our chainsaw training in central Illinois. They went back home and they utilized those chainsaw crew members that were trained by us in some tornadoes by Wichita and other areas. Well, I was at the conference in St. Louis in October, and they approached me, and they want us to come to them this time to do a chainsaw training. So we actually have a scheduled training for we're going to actually drive to Kansas on May 4th and train their alert team in chainsaw operations. So it's growing rapidly.
Yeah. Do you have another story of how this training has really made an impact on a community after a disaster?
Yeah, the best one that we have is, and we have lots of stories, but I would say the best one was in March of 2016. We did LERT training in Moline, Rock Island area. And it was a basic LERT training. And 3 days later, a tornado came through and wiped out the area. And it was just blocks away from the church that we trained at. And all those individuals that we trained, I think there was like 27 of them, they all got suited and booted and went out and helped their community. And that story actually made the Weather Channel, and the LERT team was nominated as the Weather Champions by Sam Champion, who is the GMA weatherman. But the reason it made national news is because this was like textbook work. You know, people see an interest before a disaster. They host a training. They get trained. The disaster happens, and then they deploy. But it just so happens that it was 3 days after the training. So
it was fresh in their minds, yeah.
Yeah, and it was pretty significant, yeah.
We have just under a minute left. What are some upcoming training events, opportunities to prepare for this, to be alert responder?
Okay, well, we just had one on Saturday for our chainsaw crew. We have on March 16th in Green Valley, Illinois, we have a basic alert training. On April 27th, we have a chainsaw training in Bloomington, Illinois. On May 4th, we have a chainsaw training in Kansas, Whitford, Kansas. And then on July 20th, we have alert basic training in Charleston, Illinois.
Several opportunities.
And we have about 5 more trainings that people are trying to schedule right now. So that hasn't made the schedule yet.
Is there a place where we can find out more about these trainings?
Yeah, if you go to LCMS-CID, which is Central Illinois District.com, it lists all of our trainings. We have a homepage there, and it gives you a registration form that you can click on and sign up. And if you want to host a training, we'd be more than happy to come to your area with the permission of your district, of course, and we'll train anyone and everyone.
Stephen Bourne, Central Illinois District Alert Coordinator, thanks so much for being our guest on the Coffee Hour.
Great, thank you so much.
I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
The Coffee Hour with Andy and Sarah is a production of KFUO. To support the Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit KFUO.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@KFUO.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.